What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Chalk It Up 7. I got to talk fast at the beginning here. I got a cool one here I'm going to do today that everyone's asked me about a bunch of times. Every time I post one, everybody really digs them. Here, real quick, what I'm doing with that setup real quick. I got a bunch of really bright colors. I got a dark blue piece of paper. I'll go over the paper choice later because this is not Canson. This is another brand of dark blue paper that has some bite to it. I don't necessarily like this one. It's kind of why I'm doing the star study on this one, because the chalk moves pretty fluidly on this. So anyway, I'm gonna do like the starry background. Like I said, I've done these before, but I wanted to do one as an episode. Right now, what the main focus here is, I'm in cloud mode right now, but instead of outdoor water and vapor clouds, we're talking about gas clouds and star clouds and whatnot. And I'm still thinking to myself, like, keeping some of the darkness on the paper, and I'm going to start working with different colors here and layers and work out some bright spots. And I'm thinking of composition while I'm doing this. And again, working with one color, I come in here and I add like some brighter colors. I add some pinks and some purples in here. And when you guys are doing this, you guys can do anything you want. Just make sure that it matches somewhat to the paper that you're doing. Like this is actually not pure white that I put on here. This is like a yellow white. It's like a creamy color. Just because I want to save the white for the stars. You'll see what I did at the beginning. Like I had a brand new pastel stick there. And the only reason I kept that new is because it has the points on it to make the stars. And you'll see how I do that later. But this episode is going to be me talking, and then a lot of just enjoy the music for a little bit. So real quick, compositionally wise, what I'm doing here is, like, you can see I put those two like darker like red spots. I'm kind of working out from the, I'm making a brighter spot in the middle there, and then I'm going to work these two, almost like this yin and this yang, like these pink reddish star nebulas on each side. And I'm thinking about composition right now, like how this is all going to lay out. Believe it or not, most of the time randomly, if you just do this completely random, it'll work out for you. But as you do them, you'll start to understand, be like, well, you know what, I kind of want this position here, and I want to tell this story here and whatnot. But again, those are all things that you can do. The biggest trick is to do these over and over again. Try to get the technique down. And we're going to do something a little different at the end here with this one too. I'm going to throw some marker in. We're going to do like a tree line to kind of give this a feel like you're actually like standing out like in your backyard looking up at the stars or something like that. So I'm going to shut up for a minute. So right here, I want to jump in. What I started doing there is I was actually making the paper towel a little damp and grabbing some of the chalk off of my table. It was almost creating like these like you can see like right there. That's a good example. Like I'm literally almost making like these things that look like bushes and stuff. I'm gonna have to revisit this technique when I do some of my nature stuff, because that actually really works. Oh, look at that! Like, tap it out. That's pretty cool. So again, I'm just going through it. I'm adding in some bright spots, and we're gonna, kind of work on this whole composition and figure out where things are gonna lay down here. So I'm still going through this, and I'm really just trying to I'm building these little star clusters and whatnot. Now I'm really going to start to hammer in some of the real bright spots and the real bright stars and stuff. And at first, these things really don't look like much until you really start getting into them and you put in a lot of. The more stars you put in these, usually the better that the better they look. But you got to be mindful of where you put them. You don't want to just toss them everywhere. You can see how I'm kind of making those brighter areas and those darker areas. You can kind of see how I do I work in clusters, little galaxies far away, and then I'll give a little smear maybe. And look at that, it creates those little clouds of stars and gas billions and billions of light years away, and just, I don't know. I've always been obsessed with the universe and the galaxy and the size of it. The size of the ocean scares me, if that makes sense. Not afraid. I'll go in it, even though sharks and stuff that's pretty dumb. But no, just the scale of it, how big it is, and how little we are. So. So I'm just going to continue through here, and I'm kind of going back to where I put some of those brighter clouds before. I'm going to really start hammering in really dense clusters of stars around those bright spots. And all of a sudden you're going to see it amazingly. It just starts to create this depth. You see what I did there? I'm using a small light blue chalk right there. Believe it or not, it's tough to see on the video, but it does create a ton of depth. When you see those cold blue stars back in the distance. Here's an art lesson too. It's kind of predominant when you're looking at stars like this, but things that are blue or cold recede. Things that are warm towards the red side come towards you. So keep that in mind. It's funny, you can see the up in the corner there, you could see where the chalk was bouncing that wasn't sticking to the page. So yeah, so I'm going through, I'm picking out those areas that I did before where I put the brighter spots, and I'm really just trying to dense it up, trying to make it, work in clusters. The more clusters that you put in there, the farther away it's going that your drawing's going to look. You want to do something up closer, then space out your stars a little bit more. Believe me, it'll make sense if you try it. So this is a little trick. In hindsight, I probably should have used one of my chalk pencils for this. I wasn't super happy the way that it came out, but I am trying to really, show that one cluster there. Put a little highlight on it. I'm going to do a few more of these around, but I probably should have used my chalk pencil and kind of pulled it out from the center. And there's nothing wrong with using a straight edge. I can draw a straight line, guys. You all can do it too if you know the right technique from drawing from your shoulder. So there's nothing wrong with cheating, because it's really not cheating. Trust me when I say that those light glares, the straighter they look, the more realistic they look, because, I'm not going to go into a whole discussion about gravity. So again, I'm just going through it, and this has been time-lapsed. I probably worked on this drawing for about a half an hour, Guys, you can take as long as you need to on these. I work really, really fast. I always have. It's just been one of my things. It's like an energy thing. I like to just get things down on the paper fast or get them up on a chalkboard or whatever I'm doing really quick. But that's just my style. So anyway, so check this out. So I actually got this idea from somebody that I saw doing some spray artwork. What I'm doing now is I'm just going to use one of my super black chart pack markers, and I am just going to silhouette in a tree line here that has a low horizon line, and I'm just shadowing in some trees. It's basically just going to almost like bookend the entire drawing that we just did. It's just going to give you like a sense of scale and a sense of perspective. So now I'm just going through here. I'm just gonna, you guys can spend more time on this if you want. You can get into like some thinner markers and whatnot and do some real cool details and stuff on the trees. It's funny watching myself do this in a time lapse because I keep watching how much I fiddle around with the marker. But what I'm doing, even though this is a bigger marker, it has a tight point on it. But what I'm doing is I'm taking the weight off of the tip and I'm putting it, I'm holding it on the back. So it almost acts like, its own weight is what's keeping it on the page. And when I pull my arm up, then it goes thinner, 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 thinner. It's something that you can work on and practice. It's a technique. It's not, believe me, when I'm drawing those branches, I'm letting whatever happens, because that's what makes things look more natural. But try that technique. Get your weight on the back of those markers, and you'll be able to pull it up and get really, really like thin branches on them. And then, you want thinner ones, that's fine. Go back, use one of the other, like the thinner ink pens like I've done in the past. But, I'm actually working backwards. Like these little pine trees are a little bit further away. I'm gonna go back through, brighten up a few of the stars. But, this one's getting pretty close to being a finished one. You can do a bunch of these, like try doing these smaller, maybe do like a few and just see how, get your chops with the stars working. You don't have to do the trees if you don't want to, but it's a good way to like solidify it into like a cool little piece. So guys, thanks for all the support that we've been getting on the channel. Keep watching. We appreciate it. See you guys on the next one.